Hello everyone, Zach Grimm here. Welcome to Rotten Angel. This is a game where I become someone's boyfriend, but things spiral down fast between my boyfriend and his twin. How will we deal with it? Let's find out. This is you. Tell us who you are. Let's go with Grimm. And how would you refer to yourself? Let's go with he, him. So your name is Grimm and your pronouns are he, him. Is that right? Yes. Pain shoots across your stomach. It had been an excruciating few hours for you and the day had only started. You practically had emptied out your insides to the point that they felt hollow, light. You got food poisoning, you thought. However, you weren't exactly too alarmed. This wasn't your first rodeo, and it usually went away quietly after a few hours for you. As for what caused it, you have two guesses. It was either the toast you just ate or the dinner you had during Halloween night. However, you didn't exactly want to tell your boyfriend and his twin brother, Evangel and Angel, that their cooking might be the cause of it. The three of you haven't spent much time together lately. It was such a fun dinner. You didn't want to ruin the mood. Dad and Evan just left for work. You'd rather deal with this on your own rather than disturb him. Maybe if it got too much, you finally go to the hospital and let them know. You came to regret this decision though. Morning turned to evening and the pain only doubled. By the time it got worse, you were already on the floor, crawling and dragging yourself, desperate for survival. Your vision gradually darkened. The pain slowly went away, but so did your life. Just like that, you died. Oh, off to a good start. That evening, Evangel, nicknamed Evan, went back to his apartment after a hard day at work. An alarming sight stopped him dead in his tracks. It was your body laid sprawled on the ground. Your phone was seen near you and your eyes only gazed downward without any focus. Your body was limp and unmoving. Evan? What's wrong? A voice called out from behind him, followed by a noise of a closing door. It was Angel, his younger flesh and blood. His question carried both curiosity and concern in it, though it clearly wasn't enough to grab his brother's attention. Angel was about to call out again when he himself finally saw the body. The brothers gazed at the chilling scene before them, both equally as frozen as the corpse laying on the floor. It was as if time stopped for a moment. Wow, I don't even get to enjoy my boyfriend, huh? The first to break that silence was Evan. He rushed to his boyfriend, immediately checking your neck for a pulse and your nose for any signs of breathing. When he found none, he was quick to perform CPR on you as a Hail Mary pass. While Evan seemed to be able to control his emotion well, his twin's reaction was far from it. His breath quickened and his skin turned deathly pale. In an effort to calm himself, he grabbed his own shirt and approached them. Grimm, can you hear me? Evan's eye twitched at Angel's useless question and wasteful action, an expression that completely went over Angel. Evan couldn't afford to call him out on it though. He continued to try his best to save your life to no avail. His effort did nothing. It was only after minutes passed that he realized this and finally pulled away. Angel could only hold his breath when he saw his older brother give up. He didn't dare to say anything, instead waiting for Evan to break the silence once more. He's gone. Gone? As in dead? What else? No way. Without giving any response nor consolation to his panicking brother, Evan walked off to the nearest wall and leaned his back on it. His lips formed a thin line as his eyebrows knitted together. There was a reaction that once again contrasted his twin, who began to approach you and hold your cheek, lightly tapping it. A gesture indicating that he didn't quite believe that you were already gone. A pair of eyes teared up while other pair gazed to the ground. While a sob began to break out from Angel, Evan could only sigh with a slight hint of quiver. We were just hanging out and watching movies yesterday. And I promised that we hang out more often. Oh god, I'm sorry, Grimm. Angel, just shut up for a second. Huh? I'm trying to think. With eyes wide and jaw slacked, Angel stared at Evan. His lips opened yet closed again, wordlessly. The motion repeated twice before Angel meekly gave up and went silent instead. Minutes passed by. Angel grew even more nervous as the passage of time dragged on. Every time he glanced at Evan, he was thinking deeply and was letting none of his thought escape from his throat. Evan's gaze shifted back and forth from your body to Angel multiple times. Wait here and don't move. Okay. Angel only watched as Evan walked away towards the kitchen. Not long after, he heard rummaging from the kitchen. Cabinets were opened, jars were moved. It was at least obvious enough that Evan was looking for something as quickly as he could. But what? Angel could only speculate. Both curiosity and anxiety ate up at Angel, yet he didn't dare move. The uncertainty and the mystery of what his brother could be thinking was agonizing to Angel. Terrifying, even. He hadn't had the slightest clue of what his older brother would do next. Eventually, Evan walked back to where Angel and you were. His dissatisfied look made it clear that he didn't find what he was looking for. Being his usual spineless self, Angel didn't dare to ask about it. Though at least he was brave enough to suggest an idea instead. Hey, we should call for paramedics or something, right? We need to report it and... we don't even know what happened to him, so... I call him, okay? Stop! Angel, who was about to reach out to his phone at that point, froze. Let's not do that just yet. Huh? His words caught Angel off guard, but Evan didn't care. He continued on in a quieter voice. I have a pretty big suitcase in our bedroom. Grab that and... And? Put cream inside. A beat. Angel stared at Evan blankly. Eventually, Angel stuttered. Sorry, put him inside the... suitcase? His question was responded with a curt nod from Evan. I have the car ready. Bring Grimm's body down with you and come with me when you're done. Evan, are you sure? I mean, he is your boyfriend, isn't he? And where are we even going anyway? To our old house. Why? Evan glared frostily at Angel, causing the latter to flinch. Angel was ready to be scolded, but Evan's scathing word never came. Instead, Evan just walked off. Just get to it before you regret it. At the threat, Angel lowered his head, yet his body moved accordingly, following his brother's orders. To say that he was confused was a huge understatement. Seeing that, Evan also left to get the car as planned. As Evan walked away from the room, Angel could only stare. Angel knew his brother more than anyone. That was what he thought. He knew that Evan was bad at expressing himself, but he also knew that his brother was mostly well-intentioned and nice. Did he truly know him after all? Or did Evan know something Angel didn't? Meanwhile, as Evan was preparing his car, countless thoughts also filled his head. Too many for him to process them properly one by one. Fortunately for him, he was able to refocus his attention once he started up the car, clearing his head as his hands were on the cold steering wheel. As Evan had briefed before, Angel came downstairs, bringing the luggage as if he was about to go on a holiday. Amidst the heavy fog in the dimly lit street, Angel put the luggage inside the car trunk before taking a seat in the front beside Evan. With that, they took off. Okay. This Evan guy is kinda sus, huh? The car ride was quiet at first. The silence was far from comfortable. It was as if the two were waiting for the other brother to say something first. It was only the matter of who were brave enough to do so. Between them, Evan had always been the quicker one to take initiatives, and this wasn't an exception. Angel? Yeah? What do you think happened to Grim? Not sure. That's why I offered to call for help. Maybe we find out if... I don't care, just tell me what you think happened. Angel chewed on the insides of his mouth, thinking of what to say. Evan gave him all the time in the world to think, occasionally stealing quick glances at Angel. Eventually, the younger man spoke. Maybe it was a heart attack or something like that? With his eyes glued onto the road, Evan only let out a small hum. The minuscule reaction worried Angel, so he continued on. It was so sudden, so I'm trying to think of any health condition that could cause that. Evan, do you know if Grim has told you about any of that? Evan looked back and pondered in his memory. He recalled that... Oh, okay. You have not talked to him about this? You told him that you have some health complications in the past. You told him that you seem to be healthy, but your family has a history of health complications in the past. You told him that you're pretty much healthy, and so does your family. Wow, okay. Well, I have no idea. How close am I to my boyfriend, huh? Is this the first stage? Let's say we have not talked about this yet. We still don't know him yet. Evan recalled that you never told him anything. He didn't know whether it was because you two never had the time to sit down and talk about it, or whether you just didn't want to discuss it with Evan. You took your reasons with you to the grave, and there was no more chance for you two to converse. The thought left a bitter taste in Evan's mouth, deepening his frown. I don't know. He never told me. I see. Then the only way we can know is by talking to his family or have his cause of death be certified. That or it was related to food. Angel stared at Evan. I'm not going to lie, food poisoning did cross my mind too, but I chalked it off because we're still fine. Evan narrowed his eyes at Angel, but he shifted his gaze to the road once again as he asked a question. Then how about the mushroom you used as ingredients? Have you double-checked that they were edible? It's only when Evan questioned Angel's specialty that Angel began to respond with more assertion. Evan, I know my mushrooms. You also know well that my roommate and I only grow edible ones. This wasn't the first time I offered Grim the mushrooms that I used for that Halloween dinner either. Evan's questionable reaction shrunk Angel back into his shell. He quickly added, Evan, I really don't think we can just speculate about Grim's cause of death, and it's not our forte. That's why I said to call paramedics or go to the hospital or... We go there after we visit our old house. The car fell into silence once again. They could only hear the sound of other vehicles passing by, each going about their daily lives and unaware of the fact that your body laid in their trunk, nor the turmoil the brothers were currently going through. Angel was biting his own lips and played with the seams on his sleeves. Finding his own uneasiness to be unbearable, Angel finally decided to voice one clearing question out to Evan. Hey Evan? You never answered my question before. Which one? Why are we visiting our old house? What's left of that abandoned shack anyway? What are you planning? There might be nothing much there anymore, but I always wanted to bring Grim there. I made a promise to him. Evan's tone shifted, becoming more expressive than it usually was. Angel also noticed his brother's index finger tapping on the steering wheel. The behavior made Angel tilt his head curiously. You did? You wanted to show him the house where Dad used to yell and hit us? Yeah. Really? Despite that, it was still the place where we were born and raised. The more Evan responded, the more perplexed Angel became. He couldn't fathom what drove his brother to be saying all this. A small laugh of disbelief escaped Angel's lips as he stared at Evan. That's what I said back then, no? And I remember you dismissing it, saying that we were better off for getting that good-for-nothing house in the middle of nowhere. Angel, you know that I'm driving right now, don't you? Yes. If you don't want me to ram this car into the truck over there, you need to stop questioning me, you got it? Angel could not argue with that, not only because he wanted to live, but also because Evan clearly didn't want to explain himself. The only thing he could do was slowly nod in response. However, Angel did decide to change the subject. Grim, huh? I still can't believe that he's gone now. Angel began to reminisce about the days you and Evan were together. He remembered those days to be... happy? Truly loved Evan despite his awkwardness? Bittersweet. You initially loved Evan, but the love soon died out. I mean, Evan seems like a good guy, no? Bittersweet. You initially loved Evan, but love soon died out. Let's go with the happy ending. Happy. You truly loved Evan, despite his awkwardness. I always thought that he was really nice. I remember the first time you introduced him to me during the summer 2 years ago. How happy you two looked. Your smile that day was the brightest it's ever been, I think. I just regretted that I haven't had much time to spend with him. And that's just me. I can't imagine how you must be feeling. I mean, you two were so close. Grim was so nice towards you, and you really softened up ever since you met him. Angel's voice slowly went quieter. He was muttering when he said his few next words. I'm almost jealous, if I have to be honest. At that, Evan raised an eyebrow, though he didn't seem to be surprised. Jealous, huh? I was just saying, it's impressive that Grim was able to do that. He must have been really special to you. When Angel took a brief look at Evan, he saw his brother looking as if he murdered him right on the spot if he had said another word. Alarmed by this, Angel decided to end his mussing early. My point is, I just wanted to say that you can talk to me about it. That's all. I know Grim meant a lot to you, so... So you knew. What? You of all people would know that he meant a lot to me. Angel only nodded slowly, not knowing where Evan was going with this. So it surprised me that you've been trying to steal him away from me, Angel. With his stomach beginning to lurch, Angel slowly turned his head towards Evan. Two pair of eyes met for just a brief moment before Evan redirected his vision back to the road. Angel's surprised gaze, however, was locked in at Evan's side profile. Huh? What do you mean? Don't play dumb, I know you've been meeting alone with him every chance you got. Angel only gaped after hearing Evan's word. On the other hand, Evan scoffed as he kept on going. You think I have no idea? You've been trying to get close to him behind my back, haven't you? Huh? Me? Evan, are you serious? Evan squinted at his younger brother's pathetic response. You recall that? Told him how uncomfortable you were with how Angel was approaching you. We happened to see both of you. Oh, damn. Drama. Well, let's go with you told him how uncomfortable you were with how much Angel was trying to approach you. Back then, you were indeed approached by Angel behind Evan's back. It seemed friendly enough at first. Eventually, he surprisingly began to act much bolder. A pat on the shoulder, hand holding, and a hug at one point. He never went beyond that, though he was certainly very touchy. Not only that, he also began to show his concern to you, basically telling you that Evan was never a good boyfriend. Something about how Evan never treated his previous partners right, and that you deserved so much better. Angel's words and actions were sweet and alluring, but you believed in Evan more than him. So you told Evan about this just a few days before the Halloween dinner. Grim told me all about it, Angel. Not only did you approach him, you also spread lies about me to him. What? You told him that I was cold, demanding, and abusive towards my exes. I don't remember that being the truth. That's absurd. I never did any of that. You agree that Grim is not the type who would slander you, right? Yeah? If he wasn't lying, then what was that? I don't know, maybe there's a misunderstanding between us? Tell me what you told Grim back then. I just told them that you might be cold sometimes. But I tried to assure him that you meant well. That's all. Really? Really, I swear that's what I told him. Anything else was... maybe he mistook my friendliness for something else? Sorry, I don't know for sure. Evan, you know I only want the best for you. With all those things that happened to us, all I want now is to just see you be happy to live. I won't want to ruin it for you. Please believe me. Evan only stared at the never-ending road in front of him. He looked like he wanted to say something, however, he ultimately dropped the topic. They were on the road at midnight, and Evan didn't want to be the cause of their demise. The two didn't talk for the rest of the ride. both brothers were keeping their thoughts to themselves. Although, whatever it was that the two were thinking about was abruptly interrupted by them. Interrupted by them noticing flashing lights behind them. It's a police car. Huh? He asked to pull over. I know, but what about Grim? Angel nervously glanced behind, looking back and forth in the trunk and the police car. The fact that his brother was able to stay calm about all of this was impressive to him, to be honest. As Evan was slowly and carefully pulling over the side of the road, he told Angel this. They won't do anything so long as we are not acting suspicious. That's why. Angel, you go talk to them. Oh. Angel did not complain, not that they had the time to. Once an officer came over their car, Evan rolled aside of the window to let the officer have a look inside. As the man in uniform peered in, he saw the twin brothers. One was looking at him with indifference, while another smiled politely at him. Good evening, sir. What can we help you with? It was as if they were simply having a pleasant night out, with how casual Angel was acting. Evening, sirs. We just want to check in with you to make sure everything's all good here. There have been a few cases of people drunk driving here lately, and we just want to be safe. Hope you don't mind? Oh, of course. We understand the concern. Great. Thanks for understanding. Show us your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please. Here. Evan handed the documents needed as swiftly as he could. The cops took a brief look at it before nodding and pulling a small device, breathalyzer. Evan was told to breathe on it, and the test came out negative. Right, you two are good to go. Thank you so much. Have a good night, sir. Finding Angel's attitude to be very pleasant, the officer reciprocated his friendliness back at him. You too, have a safe trip and take a break if you're getting too sleepy on the road. The fog is also heavy. Just drive carefully, yeah? We will. Take care of yourself as well, officer. After a nod from the cop, the two watched the police car parking behind them begin to park. Once Evan rolled the window up, the two collectively let out a sigh that they'd been holding for a while. I was so nervous. Really now, I couldn't tell. It's a good thing you and the officer both couldn't. When Angel looked up, he saw Evan staring at him with narrowed eyes. What? He didn't answer. Instead, he started the car once again, before he held the steering wheel, preparing for the road. Nothing. The rest of the ride was quiet, and comfortably so. An hour after midnight, they finally reached their old house, just tucked away in the middle of nowhere, near an untouched forest, while being far from civilization. The last time these two had ever seen this house was when they were around 10. It was when they were brought away by Child Protection Services after someone had reported on their parents. Back then, the house was already somewhat worn, as nobody had time to keep the house in its prime state. Now, as the two stood in front of it, the house was much dingier. Overgrown plants covered its brittle walls. Not even managed to find its way and took residence in the house. With a suitcase beside him, Evan stared on at the house they used to live in. Countless thoughts buzzed his head. Aaron tried muting all of them by shaking his head and redirected his focus on Angel. When Evan took a look at Angel, he saw him staring blankly at a cluster of pure white mushrooms near the front door. It was destroying Angel's Amnesia bisporgera? I hope I pronounced it correctly. Come on, Angel. Despite the sorry state that the house was in, the door still functioned properly. An Angel wandered in, silently observing what this old house had become. Evan had closed the door behind them. A click echoed throughout the empty house, causing Angel to turn around. Huh? You still have the key to this house? Not receiving any answer, Angel slowly asked, Why did you lock the door, Evan? We need to talk, Angel. Angel stared unblinkingly as he began to piece things together. Once he mostly had figured out his brother's intention, he could only gulp as he let out a small smile. Okay, then let's find a place to sit down. The Angel didn't show what he was thinking, and this caused Evan to be on his guard. He simply let his younger brother roam around, searching for a good place to converse. How about the dining table? Evan followed after. Angel was dusting the table off, making it as clean as he could manage in such a short span of time. Afterwards, the two sat down across from each other. Chairs creaked as they sat, but it looked stable enough to support their weight for now. The brothers examined each other. Evan knew Angel was waiting for him to say something, so he started. I'll get to the point. Angel nodded. Grim's death was your doing, wasn't it? What makes you think so? When we talked in the car, I brought up that the food might be the reason for Grim's death. I never specified that it was the stuff we ate during Halloween, yet you immediately assumed it was that. Angel only blinked. Oh, I see. But the Halloween dinner was just the first thing that popped in my mind. There's nothing more to it. Of course. But that was just what nailed the coffin for me. Before that, it's painfully obvious that you've been acting really weird these past few months. How so? I know that you sometimes act pitifully and spitefully whenever I get myself a partner, but with Grim, you're being too aggressive. Ah, okay. Does that immediately rule out the fact that Grim could die an accidental death? No. Then what are you getting at? Evan only sighed as he leaned forward. I was saying that you're getting bolder in your hatred against me. You weren't being subtle at all. Angel stared, his jaw slacked. You think I wouldn't notice? You're always hiding behind me whenever something happened, but I caught you staring at me with contempt numerous times before. Oh. Evan took notice of Angel's shift in expression, a scowl, one unbefitting of Angel's soft features. It was an abnormal sight, but Evan only regarded it as if he was used to seeing that look. Yeah, that look. Angel only sighed before he stared at the table in front of him, diverting his gaze from his older twin brother. I don't hate you though, far from it. Evidence and actions say otherwise, Angel. Let's say that I do then. Wouldn't I try to kill you rather than Grim? Here's what I think. You're in love with Grim, so you tried getting close to him. But I was in your way. You tried to poison me, but you accidentally gave the plate to Grim instead. In that case, it makes perfect sense why you're so panicked, insisting over and over to call for authorities. You feel guilty. Huh? So, am I right? Honestly, that's so baseless, I'm speechless. Aren't you supposed to be the smarter one between us? I mean, if you're going to accuse me of something so grave, at least give me some concrete evidence or something. Sorry, I need to act quick before you could take the upper hand. Angel let out a long sigh, but despite it being so groundless, you're somewhat correct. Evan's eye widened at Angel's sudden admission of guilt. You're right that I killed Grim, but you have the motive wrong. Sorry, Evan. Better luck next time. I prefer if there was no next time. Why do you do it? Slow down. Let me correct you first. I didn't target the wrong person. I wanted to kill Grim, and I did just that. Do you really think I'm so clumsy that I make a mistake for something this crucial? Angel let out a soft chuckle, which carried a slight bitterness to it. Well, just goes to show how much you always look down on me. But I made the same mistake and underestimated you. I never expected you to keep your calm all this time and bring me to this old place. I thought you would have been panicking, broke down or something. You call authorities, you mourn the death of your beloved, and I am most likely to be found out of poisoning afterwards. Hearing this, Evan raised an eyebrow. He wanted to ask him something, but Angel seemed to be aware of it already, as he added, honestly, if I were to be caught, I would immediately plead guilty. Whatever my sentence would be, I accept it and never elaborate on why I did it. Why, you might ask? Your boyfriend died. I killed him, and you never found out why. Wouldn't you want closure? Would your mind handle all that stress? I guess I want to see how you would react. Evan only left his mouth open, speechless. Instead, you brought me here to interrogate me. Or was that really why you did that, brother? I think there's something else. Deep down, you feel guilty, don't you? Whatever Evan wanted to say was stuck and left unsaid, almost like a piece of fish bone that hooked itself on the flesh of his throat. This big reaction from Evan caused Angel to smile knowingly. You feel that you wronged me in some way? That I hate you because of you? And thanks to that hate, I killed Grim? You're responsible for his death, right? Maybe if you never met Grim, never confessed to him, or maybe if you could just be a better brother, none of this could have happened. Is that why you wanted to talk to me first? To gain understanding? Or maybe you wanted to help me to make up for it? That Evan's unusual hesitation was all the confirmation Angel needed. Ah, so it was that. You're still so kind after all, Evan. That's why I love you. Evan froze. He slowly tilted his head upwards to look at his younger half. A pair of pale eyes met each other's gaze. Angel was covering half of his reddening face. It was as if he was a flustered high school girl experiencing her first love. Oh, said it. That's so embarrassing. What do you mean? Like I said, I don't hate you, Evan. In fact, I love you. I really love you. Love as in... how do I explain it? I don't know when it started. All I know is that you're the only one for me ever since you started defending me from Dad. I don't think I'd even be alive if it weren't for you. You hate me for this, but whenever I saw you all bruised up, my heart always skipped a beat. You were so quiet and gentle, but the more you stood up for me, the more you became this cold person. I love that I have that effect on you. To know that I could become a big reason why you are the way you are now. Ugh, that one was added for special effects. What the? Angel stood up from his seat. I love how dependable you are. Angel took a step forward, approaching Evan. I love how kind you are. I love how much you're willing to sacrifice yourself to me. I love seeing your reaction whenever you think you've done something wrong. I love seeing red and blue bruises adorning your skin. I love you, Evan. Evan was stunned into silence as his brother's lengthy proclamation of love. He felt every inch of his body go numb from his intensity. As Angel got increasingly closer, Evan slowly reached into the inside of his coat. Evan soon regretted his decision though, as Angel immediately rushed over upon seeing it. Drowning in his own panic, Evan also stood up and was about to run off. Evan, however, tripped on one of the table's legs. It gave Angel a window of opportunity to catch and hold onto him, which she quickly acted on. With Evan on the ground, Angel sat on his back, focusing his entire body weight down as he forcefully reached inside of Evan's coat. What's this, Evan? Angel asked as he pulled something out of Evan's coat. A hammer. What are you planning to do with this thing? To hurt me? Gritting his teeth, Evan struggled. Yeah, because clearly I don't feel safe around you. Get out of me, Angel! Oh. Angel only stared at the back of his brother as he made up a decision in his head. He decided to swing the hammer down into Evan's skull, causing him to grunt. Scarlet red began to stain Evan's colorless hair. A grin slowly crept up on Angel's face. The sight of it made Angel's heart race, his breathing heavy and his head light. The euphoria he felt upon seeing his own flesh and blood injured because of him was so unbearable. Was unbearable. He craved more of it. And so he swung down once again, and again, and again. It was when Evan fell unconscious that Angel snapped out of it. Oh shit, wait, I survived that? What? Some kind of superhuman? When Evan awoke, he found himself lying on the ground of a familiar basement-thing attic. It was the basement of their old house. Dark, dingy, and musty. Evan remembered vividly that this was the room that his parents used to trap them when they misbehaved. Not only that, he also saw the suitcase where his dead boyfriend was in. His standing not too far from where he was. Everything about it choked Evan up. He wanted to leave now. He tried to get up, battling the intense pain on the back of his head. However, he very soon found out that both his hands were handcuffed. When he moved his legs, one of them was cuffed to one of the pipes that was stuck to the wall. No fucking way. The realization that his younger brother kidnapped him was starting to dawn on him. It was suffocating. His eyes felt like he was about to burn, as tears started to leave his eye sockets. What did he do to deserve this? He wanted to give Angel a chance to explain himself. He wanted to give the brother he shared his sufferings with the benefit of the doubt. He gave everything to Angel, and he trampled it all on the ground, stomping and ripping it to shreds while he was at it. Perhaps this was his punishment for treating Grim so horribly after his death, he thought. For choosing to listen to Angel first before his boyfriend. The guilt weighed heavily on him, but he didn't have time to dwell on it as he heard a sound that made him nearly jump. Evan rubbed his eyes quickly before looking at the door. He saw Angel walking in with a bottle of water in his hand. As soon as Angel saw his elder brother, a gentle, almost ironically angelic smile crept up on Angel's face. Evan, you're awake. You were unconscious for a while. I even had time to cuff you and tend to your wounds. Evan only lowered his head, not giving any response to Angel whatsoever. This made Angel tilt his head. When he got closer to Evan, he suddenly felt something wet splash on his cheek. It turned out that Evan just spat on him. Get me out of here! Angel only rubbed his cheeks, still with that oh so gentle smile of his. I'm surprised you're still fine after all that. You never failed to impress me with your strength. I said, get me out of here, Angel! Or what? Or what? Or what? You're insane, Angel. What do you mean by, or what? Get me out! Evan's hysterical howling was abruptly stopped when Angel seized Evan by the jaw. He dug his nail into his skin, sighing the ground out of Evan. Quiet down for me, will you? You stay here for as long as you can, until either you die or I get captured. Do you understand? Evan could only growl at Angel before he bit down Angel's hand as hard as he could. He even managed to puncture the skin. Angel gasped and immediately pulled away, looking back and forth between his bleeding wound and at Evan. This reaction, coupled with the searing taste of iron in his mouth, made Evan scoff triumphantly. Serves you right, you fucking lunatic. Ah, Evan, you're so adorable. I think I'm falling for you all over again. Falling in love. The moment Evan heard those words again, it was as if his inside turned upside down. However, no matter how unpleasant he felt, he didn't want to quiet down and bow down to Angel. That was the last thing he'd do. You're joking. How can you call this rotting feeling of yours love? What you love isn't me, it's my suffering. In other words, you hate me, loathe me. You're not wrong, but you're not right either. Loving you so much that I despise you, or hating you so much that I adore you, it still doesn't change the fact that what I feel for you is intense. It's so intense that I can't hold it in much longer. And I love that feeling, which means I love you. Perhaps not in a traditional way, but it is still love. Evan could only knit his brows in response. Unlike Angel, he was someone who didn't delve much into his emotions. Therefore, Angel's rambling about how he felt had only managed to confuse him. He didn't get his brother. He couldn't understand him one bit. He didn't want to be able to understand him. That make any sense, Angel? Angel, on the other hand, had expected this response from Evan. He only smiled with tranquility and understanding. Then, just make you understand during our time together. As they talked, both Evan and Angel heard a gurgling noise coming from the older twin's stomach. Angel only flashed a smile at that before he stood up. That time, as in now it seems. I'll go get us some breakfast. Like hell you're going to do that. Hey, come back. As if deaf to his brother's pleading, Angel walked back to the door. The last thing Evan saw was Angel's beaming smile as he closed the door. Sit tight and wait for me, okay? Are you kidding me? Angel! Angel! The door closed shut, engulfing Evan's world into darkness once again. I guess it was the ending which Angel wins and Evan loses. Let's try to see if there's any other endings we can make out of this. It happened to see both you and Angel leave a hotel together. When he recalled the sight that he saw back then, he could feel his inside clawing at each other and threatening to leave its vessel. His hands trembled, his breathing quickened, and his face became so warm that he couldn't take it anymore. Evan pulled over to take a break to calm himself. Angel noticed this and didn't say anything, so as not to disturb Evan. You indeed cheated on Evan with his brother Angel. The truth was that he approached you and you went along with it. As a boyfriend, you noticed that Evan was bad at showing his love towards others. He went along with most of what you wanted, but it wasn't enough for you. You wanted him to treat you like you were special, like you were his one and only. Or at least you wanted him to act more lovey-dovey so that you knew for sure that he loved you. Evan was so horrendous at all of it. Thus, when his twin decided to shower you with all the love you also craved, you caved in. A kiss, a hug, loving intercourse. Angel would give it to you without any ounce of hesitation, and you loved it. This was a secret only known to you and Angel. However, it seemed that you two weren't being as secretive as you two initially thought. Knowing that Angel could only lower his head, his expression shrouded by the midnight shadow. Evan glanced over, wanting to see his brother's face. He wanted to find any ounce of guilt from Angel. Perhaps it might make him feel better that way. And yet, you couldn't see anything. For all he knew, Angel could be smiling at his brother's anguish, and the thought only frustrated Evan more. Angel, look at me. Evan briefly lost control of his emotions. He punched at the steering wheel as he yelled, "Look at me in the eye!" Finally, Angel complied. He raised his head slightly. Under the dimly lit car, Evan saw Angel stare him in the eye. Sadness was written all over his younger twin's face. There was something else. Pity. Angel was looking at him pitifully. What's with that face? I'm sorry. So you admit it? Angel sighed, but he nodded. But please, Evan, hear me out. I never consented to any of it. Evan could only feel his whole body go numb. He didn't even notice he had let out a question. What do you mean? Evan could only see Angel hugging himself, maybe as his way of comforting himself as he continued his claim. Grim came up to me first. Of course, I rejected him, but he kept coming back. I know I should have been more assertive, stand up for myself, or even just talk to you about it. But I was scared. I didn't want to ruin it for you. Like I said, despite everything, you seem to smile the brightest when you're with him. I don't want to take that away from you. Not when you're finally happy. I know it doesn't excuse it though. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. A heavy sigh escaped Evan, who successfully made Angel flinch and closed his eyes shut. Just as he thought that Evan was going to do something, he instead felt the car beginning to move once again. Evan only stared at the never-ending road in front of him. It looked like he wanted to say something. However, he ultimately dropped the topic. They were on the road at midnight, and Evan didn't want to be the cause of their demise. The two didn't talk for the rest of the ride. Both brothers were keeping their thoughts to themselves. Although whatever it was that the two were thinking about was abruptly interrupted by them noticing flashing lights behind them. It's a police car. Huh? You're being asked to pull over. I know, but what about Grim? Angel nervously glanced behind, looking back and forth between the trunk and the police car. The fact that his brother was able to stay calm about all of this was impressive to him, to be honest. As Evan was slowly and carefully pulling over to the side of the road, he told Angel this. They wouldn't do anything so long as we are not acting suspicious. That's why. Angel, you go talk with them. Uh-oh. Angel did not complain. Not that they had the time to. Once an officer came over to their car, Evan rolled aside of the window to let the officer have a look inside. As the man in uniform peered in, he saw the twin brothers. One was looking at him with indifference, while another smiled politely at him. Good evening, sir. What can we help you with? It was as if they were simply having a pleasant night out, with how casual Angel was acting. Evening, sirs. We just wanted to check in with you to make sure everything's all good here. There have been a few cases of people drunk driving here lately, and we just want to be safe. Hope you don't mind. Oh, of course, we understand the concern. Great. Thanks for understanding. Show us your driver license, registration, and a proof of insurance, please. Here. Evan handed the documents needed as swiftly as he could. The cop took a brief look at it before nodding and pulling out a small device. A breathalyzer. Evan was told to breathe on it, and the test came out negative. Right, you two are good to go. Thank you so much. Have a good night, sir. Finding Angel's attitude to be very pleasant, the officer reciprocated his friendliness back at him. You too, have a safe trip and take a break if you're going to sleep on the road. The fog is also heavy, so drive carefully, yeah? We will. Take care of yourself as well, officer. After a nod from the cop, the two watched as the police car parking behind them began to park. Once Evan rolled up the window, the two collectively let out a sigh that they'd been holding in for a while. I was so nervous. Really now, I couldn't tell. It's a good thing you and that officer both couldn't. When Angel looked up, he saw Evan staring at him with narrowed eyes. What? He didn't answer. Instead, he started the car once again before he held the steering wheel, preparing for the road. Nothing. The rest of the ride was quiet, and comfortably so. An hour after midnight, they finally reached their old house. It was tucked away in the middle of nowhere, near an untouched forest while being far from civilization. The last time these two had ever seen this house was when they were around 10. It was when they were brought away by Child Protection Services after someone had reported on their parents. Back then, the house was already somewhat worn, as nobody had the time to keep the house in prime state. Now, as the two stood in front of it, the house was much dingier. Overgrown plants covered in brittle walls, some had even managed to find its way and took residence in the house. The suitcase beside him, Evan stared on at the house they used to live in. Countless thoughts buzzed in his head. Evan tried muting all of them by shaking his head and redirecting his focus on Angel. When Evan took a look at Angel, he saw him staring blankly at a cluster of pure white mushroom near the front door. It was destroying Angel's Amanita bisporgera. Come on, Angel. Angel jumped at that. He only let a small, nervous gasp before he followed his brother in. Despite the sorry state that the house was in, the door still functioned properly. When Angel wandered in, silently observing what his old house had become. Evan had closed the door behind them. A click echoed throughout the empty house, causing Angel to turn around. Still have the key to this house? Not receiving any answer, Angel slowly asked, "Why did you lock the door, Evan?" Evan responded, though not through words, instead via action. He pulled the hammer, one he had been keeping since he rummaged through his kitchen before departing. Without any warning, he swung the hammer at his brother's head. At the impact, Angel fell down to the floor, his head red. It took Angel a few seconds before the fact his older brother's hit him had registered into his brain. What, Evan? Angel trembled. His breath quickened, all while blood began to trickle down from the wound. Unfortunately for him, Evan wasn't done. Far from it. I had it with you. What do you... Ever since you were little, all you can do is hide behind me, using me as your convenient meat shield. I've given you everything, and now, how do you repay me? Evan swung down once again. He wasn't stopping now as he said his next few words through gritted teeth. By loathing me so much that you want to destroy me? By killing Grim? He stopped for a brief moment to catch his breath as he looked down on his bloody and bruised younger twin. Angel was cowering on the ground, hugging himself. His face was obscured from Evan's view. Do you want to ruin me that badly, Angel? Where did I go wrong for you to have done all of this? Angel, answer me! Evan gripped his twin's hand to force him up. What he saw baffled him. Angel was smiling, finding some sort of joy from his brother's agony. All Evan could see was red from that point on. Years worth of rage and frustration that was safely bottled away burst at the very moment. Evan remembered screaming. He remembered swinging again, over and over. When he gradually came to it, his right arm felt numb. Sweat was sticking all over him. All he saw in front of him was a portage of meat, blood, and pieces of skull taking place of Angel's head. Evan could barely recognize his own brother if it weren't for the clothes he wore. Both the sight of the thing that used to be his brother and the visceral stench emanating from it caused Evan to fall backwards, dropping his hammer down. His stomach lurched. It was as though his organs couldn't take it, and it all rushed upwards, bulging on Evan's throat. It was unbearable. Evan vomited right then and there. He practically had emptied all his inside at that point, that they felt hollow. Afterwards, he simply stayed there, his dull blue eyes staring at the moldy ceiling. His mind was blank. There was too much inside his head that he couldn't focus on a single thought at all. In an effort to calm himself down, he simply stayed quiet, staring. Minutes, or perhaps even an hour passed. Evan couldn't really tell. As he felt much calmer, he stood up. His steps were wobbly as he made his way to the door, leaving both Grim and Angel to fester in the house. As soon as he stepped outside, Evan saw the slightest hint of the rising sun from afar. Deciding that he needed a moment, he leaned his back against the house's rotting walls. While I was watching the sky slowly go brighter, Evan lit up his cigarette and took a drag of it. Did Angel deserve all of this? Thought. Was he being too cruel to his own flesh and blood? What was the difference between him and his dad? When both of them used violence to solve their problems? No. Wasn't he worse in that regard? To kill his own brother like that? What went so wrong that all of this happened? Evan didn't have all the answers to his questions. Though, despite his complicated feelings on the matter, there was a sense of relief that he had been focusing on. Free. He was now free from Angel. The more he focused on it, everything else faded away. The guilt, the grief, the disgust. Evan tuned it all out and began heading towards his car once the clock hit exactly 6 in the morning. He didn't know where he'd be going. He didn't have any plans. One thing was for sure though, he didn't plan on getting caught so soon. As he sat down inside his car, he took one last glance at the old house behind him. He breathed out a long, quivering sigh before he started his car. With that, he took off, leaving everything behind. Alright, I guess this was the end of the game. Angel was not quite an angel, that's for sure. And I thought in the ending where, Evan killed Angel, that Evan turned out to be the one that killed us, considering that we said that we cheated Angel. But it was Angel who killed us in both scenarios with the mushroom. That was quite unexpected if I say so myself. So it seems like Angel was the bad guy through and through, and Evan, cold and distant as he may be, he was, not the bad guy. The underlying story here is their abusive, parents that they grew up with, and the way they dealt with those emotions. It seems like, Evan just completely pushed those emotions away. He just became distant and emotionless, while Angel, on the other hand, he just embraced those emotions. And I don't think those emotions were really the good emotions, he just embraced the negative emotions he got from his parents, and, it just spiraled down in him becoming weirdly attracted to his brother in some weird sense, I thought those games were gonna be like those two twins, like a twin jealous of me, but it turned out to be one of them was just completely cuckoo, and another one a little less cuckoo, but still, not completely up there with emotions as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments, leave them down below, and yeah, bye.